So let's talk about the digital nomad dream, right? The freedom to work from anywhere. A beach in Bali or cafe in Rome. It's incredible. But there's this one tiny, inescapable reality that follows you everywhere you go. Taxes. And that's where the dream can get, well, complicated. How do you square that amazing freedom with the fact that tax authorities, both back home and in the countries you visit, have a lot of questions for you?
And this quote right here, it just nails it. The real problem isn't just paying tax. It's that you're caught in this global tug of war, where multiple countries can, and often do, claim they have the right to tax your income. It feels like everyone wants a piece, and they all have different rule books.
And that's the big question, isn't it? It seems so ridiculously complex, but I promise you, it's not impossible. In fact, we're going to lay out a clear map for you. We'll break down the core rules, the must-know strategies, and the hidden traps so you can build a solid, compliant foundation for your life on the move. Okay, let's get right into it. The entire complicated world of international tax really boils down to just two fundamental ideas. Two totally different systems that are constantly crashing into each other. And every single tax problem a nomad faces comes from understanding the difference between citizenship and residency. And this slide lays out that massive split. See on the right, that's how pretty much the entire world works. It's logical, right? If you're physically present in a country for a good chunk of time, you become a tax resident. They tax you based on where you are. But then there's the United States over on the left. America plays a totally different game. It does not matter where on earth you are. If you have a U.S. passport, you have a lifelong obligation to file U.S. taxes on your worldwide income. So for American nomads, the challenge is instantly doubled. You have to deal with the IRS for life, and you have to make sure you don't accidentally become a tax resident somewhere else at the same time. So let's tackle that first big problem head on. If you're a U.S. citizen, filing with the IRS is a non-negotiable part of life. So the goal isn't to avoid filing. The goal is to use the rules to legally and strategically shrink your U.S. tax bill, in many cases all the way down to zero. And luckily, there's an incredibly powerful tool designed for exactly that. And here it is. Meet your new best friend, the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion, or FEIE. This is, without a doubt, the single most important tool for most American digital nomads. It's a special part of the tax code that says, hey, if you earn money while working outside the U.S., we'll let you exclude a very large amount of it from your federal income tax. Now, the key word here is earned income. We're talking about your salary, your freelance income, your consulting fees, money you actively work for. This does not cover passive income like dividends, rent, or crypto gains. And this is why the FEIE is such a game changer. For the 2025 tax year, you can exclude up to $130,000. That number goes up a little almost every year with inflation. I mean, think about it. For a freelancer or remote employee earning under that amount, the FEIE can literally wipe out their entire U.S. federal income tax bill. It's huge. But of course, you knew there had to be a catch, right? This is the IRS we're talking about. You can't just tick a box and get a free pass. You have to prove that you are genuinely living and working abroad. And to do that, you have to pass one of two tests. For the constantly moving digital nomad, one of these tests is practically tailor-made for you. And that's the physical presence test. It's not about feelings or intentions. It's a pure numbers game. First, your tax home has to be in a foreign country. That just means your main place of work. If you're freelancing from coffee shops in Colombia, then that's your tax home. Then comes the really critical part, the day count. You have to be physically outside the U.S. for at least 330 full days, and I mean full 24-hour days, within any 12-month stretch. This leaves you only about 35 days to visit the States, and they are incredibly strict about this. A 2-hour layover at a U.S. airport, that counts as a full day in the U.S. and goes against your count. So tracking your travel days isn't just a good idea, it is absolutely essential. Okay, so you've got a plan. You're using the FEIE to handle your U.S. tax bill. Part 1 of the puzzle is solved, but now you have to deal with Part 2. While you're spending those 330-plus days outside the U.S., you've got to be really careful not to accidentally become a tax resident in one of the countries you're visiting. And this is the #1 rule for that, the 183-day rule. It's the most common test used all over the world. It's super simple. If you spend more than half the year, 183 days, in one country, they will probably consider you a tax resident. And once that happens, you're usually on the hook to pay them taxes on your worldwide income. This is the magic number that every long-term traveler knows by heart. The foundation of your global strategy is to always stay well under that 183-day line in any single country.
But wait, it's not always just a simple day count. Tax authorities have a backup plan, a more subjective test they can use called the Center of Vital Interests. They basically just ask, where is your life really centered? Where's your family? Do you have a home that's always available to you there? Where are your main bank accounts? If you have really deep personal and economic roots in a country, they can make a case that you're a tax resident, even if you stay just under 183 days. So this table breaks down your game plan. That first rule, the 18 3-day one, the risk is low because you control the numbers. The strategy is easy, just track your days. A lot of smart nomads won't even go past 90 days in one place, just to be extra safe. But look at the next two rows, Center of Vital Interests and Permanent Home. The risk level jumps to medium-high because they're not just about math. The strategy here is all about strategic decentralization. It means you have to be intentional about not putting down deep roots anywhere. You use short-term rentals, not long leases. You avoid opening local bank accounts, unless you absolutely have to. You keep the core of your life spread out. So you're tracking your days, you're managing your personal ties, you think you're in the clear. But hold on, there's another hidden layer to this maze that trips up a lot of people. Your personal tax status is one thing, but your business's tax status is something else entirely. Your business casts its own shadow, and what you do abroad can create a tax problem for it. And this is the concept you have to know. Permanent establishment, or PE. This is a massive risk for freelancers, consultants, and even remote employees. Basically, if a country decides that your activities there create a fixed place of business for your company, then your company could suddenly owe local corporate taxes. Think of it this way. Even if you're just visiting a town, if you set up a little booth and start selling stuff every day from the same spot, the town is going to want a cut. That's what PE is, just on a countrywide scale. So what kind of things trigger this? Well, regularly signing contracts for your company from a cafe in Lisbon, that's a classic PE risk. Renting a long-term office, that's an obvious one. But even having a dedicated home office in the same Airbnb for months could be a problem. And here's a subtle one. Even a bunch of short trips to the same country can add up. If they see a consistent pattern of business activity, they can aggregate those stays and say you've created a permanent establishment. All right, you're managing your personal days, you're watching out for your business's PE risk, but we have to circle back to the US one last time, because there is a huge reporting trap that gets so many people, and this applies even if you use the FIE and owe exactly $0 in US income tax. You have to burn this number into your brain. $10,000. If the combined total of all your foreign financial accounts, bank accounts, investment accounts, whatever, goes over 10 grand for even 1 second during the year, you have a legal duty to file a special report called an FBAR. This isn't a tax form, it's a disclosure form, but the penalties for not filing are absolutely brutal, starting at $10,000 for a non-willful mistake. This is not something you want to mess around with. Okay, wow. We have covered a ton of ground here, from US tax law to global residency rules to business risks. So let's boil it all down. Let's create one final, super clear checklist of the key principles you need to live by to stay compliant and safe out there. So here it is, your 4 core commandments. Number 1, track your days like your life depends on it, because financially, it kind of does. Number 2, manage your ties. Be strategic. Don't let your life's center of gravity settle in any one place for too long. 3, remember your business has its own identity. Your actions can create tax problems for your company separate from you. And finally, number 4, when in doubt, report it. Especially when it comes to foreign bank accounts, you have to tell the US government what you have. If you live by these 4 rules, you'll have a sustainable and stress-free nomad life. And that really brings us to the big final question. We're living through this massive shift in how we work. People are operating in a borderless world, but they're being governed by tax laws that were written for a world of physical offices and borders. The old system is creaking under the strain. So what happens next? As this borderless work revolution keeps growing, will the tax laws around the world be forced to change and adapt? Or is this tax maze just going to get even more complicated? I guess we'll have to wait and see.